Hi everyone, it's Lindsay and I'm back today with a video on inlay die cutting in a die cut. Now I'm starting off with a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch white cardstock, and I'm just using a circle die, placing that right in the center of that panel, and I'll run that through my die cutting machine. Now in that circle I want to go ahead and place this love die. This is new from Inspired by Stamping, and I will run this through my die cutting machine as well. It's not going to cut out much, but what it does is going to allow you to inlay those two ends into that die cut. Now I'll be using this brand new stamp set, also from Inspired by Stamping, and it's got all these great sentiments that you can piece together, which is my favorite kind of sentiment set. But I'm going to go ahead and use the eye, and I will stamp that right above that circle with some black dye ink. Now right below that circle, I'm going to stamp you. So what the sentiment will end up reading once I get that die cut in there will be I love you, and then I'll do a little surprise on the inside as well. Now I posted this card for the new release blog hop for Inspired by Stamping, but I wanted to show you all how I made this. So that's why I went ahead and shot this video at the same time I made it, so I could go ahead and post it and show you exactly how I inlaid that die cut. So I'm going to make a shaker card. So I went ahead and put double-sided adhesive on the front of that panel, and I put some acetate to cover that window up so I don't lose any of my little sequins. And then I'm using a piece of fun foam that I cut a slightly larger circle from the center of that as well, and that's going to hold my sequins. Now I put some double-sided adhesive on that as well, and I will just go ahead and lay that right down on top of my panel. Now because I made this circle cut out slightly larger, it's not going to be so, I don't have to place it right on top of that circle. I've got a little bit of wiggle room. Now before I put in my sequins, I like to lay down all of my adhesive and take off the backing paper, just because whenever I take off backing paper, sometimes my card can jump around a little bit. So I just like to do that so I don't lose my sequins. Now I'm using this brand new sequin mix. This is also from Inspired by Stamping, and it's got all these great colors for Valentine's Day in it, as well as some little mini flat hearts that are kind of iridescent looking. They're gorgeous. So I'm just going to put some of that right in the center of that card and make sure it's all in there, and then I want to kind of spread it out a little bit. If you have too much of it in one spot, especially with this thin fun foam that I'm using, it will get stuck and it won't shake. So I like to make sure that I've got a nice thin layer of sequins, kind of one, not really more than one in any certain spot, because again, if you get too many, it's not going to shake. But then once I've got all those in there, I will go ahead and place this card base, which is an A2 white top folding card base, right over the top of that. And I'm going to use my cutting mat that you see in the background as a guide of where to put my card base. Now when I put this down, I made a mistake. I put this upside down on my card base. I'm sure we've all done it, probably more than once. I know I have. So I'm going to show you how I fix this. I'm just going to chop off the bottom. I put it in my paper trimmer, lined it up at 5 1/2 so it would be nice and even with an A2 card front, and just chopped off the bottom. I'll just put some double-sided adhesive on the back of that panel and then pop this onto an A2 top folding card base, and this time make sure it is going the right way. So I'll just lay down that double-sided adhesive and then I'll just line this up. I have made sure it's going the right way this time. I won't make the same mistake twice this time, but I'll pop that on there, press it down, and then once it's in the right spot, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to inlay this die cut. I went ahead and cut that same love die out from some black cardstock, and this will be going to my husband. So I didn't want to make it too feminine, so I used a black die cut. So if you want to make it a little more feminine, you could always make it a red or a pink. That would be awesome, but I went for more of a masculine theme, so I went with some black. I put some glossy accents on the back of that, and then I could line up that arrow at the top and at the back of that and inlay that right into that die cut so it looks like it's all one piece. But I really haven't went through the trouble of doing any partial die cutting. Now on the inside, the outside says I love you, and then on the inside I'm just going to put the word more. Now I know it's a little cheesy, but it just makes me laugh. So I went ahead and put that in, and then I'm going to use the little hearts and some red dye ink, and I'm just going to scatter these around on the inside of the car. I love making cards that are a little cheeky for my husband because he kind of gets my sense of humor. So once that's done, the card is completely finished, and I've got a great shaker ready to send off. Or in this case, hand over on Valentine's Day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I have shown you a new way of getting that partial die cutting look without all the work. As always, I will leave you guys with just a few photos. For more information and the supply list, you can head to my blog. I will leave the link to this specific blog post down in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and happy crafting.